Good evening, class. Thank you for attending today's session. As you are all aware, we are going to introduce ourselves to our new topic, or rather our new unit today, which is Management Information Systems. And of course, you're going to begin from the very first topic. We are going to explore on issues to do with the MIS, and of course, look at some of its major component after having known what we mean by MIS. First of all, of course, I want to appreciate everyone for turning up for this class. I can see we are full board. No one is absent. So today we are going to look at uh, number one, we are going to define management information systems. And of course, number two, or rather objective number two, you're going to look at some of its major components or other components of information systems. So I want to share the slide there. I hope all of us can actually be able to view it from their end. So that's our topic today, management information systems. And the first thing that you're supposed to understand is that you can see management is made up of three elements. That is management, there is information, and there is systems. So first of all, you're going to define what we mean by management. I believe it's not the first time most of us are hearing about this. And of course, when you talk of management, it refers to the process of planning, organizing, coordinating, and controlling resources to achieve specific goals and objectives in an efficient and effective manner. So it involves directing and overseeing the activities of individuals or groups within an organization to accomplish predetermined objectives. So that's generally what we mean by management. So those acts of planning, organizing, coordinating, and others which are normally executed by the management itself is basically what encompasses management. So it therefore means that within management, we must have individuals who normally perform these roles to ensure that all the activities within the organizations are running according to the expectation. Now, the other part is now the information. Information now in MIS means the processed data that helps the management in planning, in controlling, and operations. So data means all the facts arising out of the operations of the concern, and data is processed, i.e. recorded, summarized, compared, and finally presented to the management in the form of MIS reports. So that actually means that information now is like the raw material for any management information system. So the information is consumed, and of course it's processed and produced in form of MIS reports. So it essentially tells you that in any given scenario, or rather in any given organization, once information is actually consumed, it must actually be processed and of course be put out in form of the MIS reports, which are normally now dispatched either to the management or even to the rest of the personnel within the organization for their consumption. Then the other one you have is now the system, which is still a component of, or rather, which is a part and parcel of MIS. So you talk of a system as being a combination or arrangement of parts to form an integrated whole according to some common principal roles. So it's a plan or method of doing something. You know, it's also an assembly of elements arranged in order to achieve certain objectives. So you can see when you talk of a system, it basically encompasses several elements which are normally integrated or rather brought together so that they can be able to perform a particular task. And of course, in the end, of course, something is actually achieved. So in this case, we can talk of a system as being an assembly or an integration, or rather a combination or rather arrangement of different parts that basically work together to achieve a common objective or rather a common goal. So that is basically when we break it down, that's what now we see how the management information system comes out. Now, let's look at it now as a whole, the management information system as it encompasses all these elements. So now when you talk of MIS, or other management information system, it's basically a planned system of collecting, storing, and disseminating data in the form of information needed to carry out the functions of management. Thus, MIS means a system for processing data in order to give proper information to the management uh, for performing its functions. So you can see now When you combine all these elements together, now it brings out now the clearly what we mean by MIS. So basically, MIS helps management in basically processing information and giving out accurate data, and of course timely data. So that actually means that with the introduction of management information system in organization, or rather in institutions, it's basically meant to ease the process of performing tasks, especially to the management in form of dispatch of information, and of course in terms of decision making. So that is essentially what we mean by the term management information system. So let me see whether some of us have been able to capture what we've been able to capture so far. So, Emily, what have we said about information? What do you mean by, or rather, what do you understand by the term information?
Information it is the information is the processed data.
Yeah, thank you, Emily. That is basically what we mean by information. Any piece of data that's already been processed is simply what we call information. Management, who can tell us what management is? Someone?
Management, management information system is a planned system of collecting, storing, and disseminating data in the form of information needed to carry out the functions of management.
Indeed. Thank you, Grace. So that at least we've been able to get what we mean by the term information and, of course, management. And I believe now also you can be able to at least now define what we mean by a system, which is we said is actually an integration of several elements that work together to achieve a particular objective. Now, let's have a look at the components. What makes up the MIS? What is it composed of? So, a management information system is made up of 5 major components, namely people, business processes, data, hardware, and software. And all of these components must work together to achieve the business objectives. That should be objectives, not objects. So we'll be able to correct that one. So let's begin with the data. So data in any given scenario, when you talk of data, it basically means raw facts and figures about an activity in a certain environment, or rather in a given environment. So that's what we simply mean by data. Then we have business procedures. These are simply the agreed upon best practices that are normally followed up in a given scenario, rather in a given business. Every other business has its way of doing things, and that's what we call a business procedure, and it comprises what is normally captured within the MIS. Then the other one we have is the people. People are simply the users who are stationed within the organization and using the MIS, either to feed data, to retrieve data, to do the reporting and all that. So people is actually us, the people who normally interact with the system day in, day out. Then you have the other one being the hardware. Hardware is simply made up of the tangible components of a computer. That includes the printers, networking devices, and other. We basically use them, to perform our tasks within the MIS. So the other one is the software. The software now is the composition of the programs that runs all the, rather that are able to run our MIS. And in that case, it simply allows us to be able to communicate all our needs to the computer system and be able to actually send all commands to the information system for them to be processed. So it comprises of even the system software, the application software, and other customized programs such as the payroll, the banking systems, and all of that. So in that case, that is simply some of the major components of management information systems. So that is it, and that will mark the end of our lesson today. In case anyone has a question, this is the opportunity I give to you guys. Anyone who has a question or any part you didn't understand, you have an opportunity to ask. Any question? All right, so it seems most of us are really content with what we've covered today. So next lesson, you're going to look at now the roles of MIS in an organization. So thank you very much, guys, for attending this lesson. But before we wind up, I want you to now, for the next topic, as I've said, we'll be looking at the roles. So I want you guys to come up with at least 6 or 7 roles of an MIS in a given organization. And I will expect some of us to present what they've actually done. So that's an individual assignment. Go and find out some of the roles of MIS in an organization, and we'll be able to pick up some of you to make their presentations. Otherwise, thank you very much for turning up for the class, and see you next lesson. Thank you.